Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Do not change that dial. No, you are not seeing holograms. No, we are not a figment of your imagination. The views from the 22, the original trio, we are here. We are live on a Thursday. It is May 27th, and we are feeling pretty good. Welcome to the Scene YouTube channel. As I said, views from the 22, Mo Schefter, Germ So True, Vic Jr. We got a pretty good show. Psh, I don't even know why I downplayed it. We got a fantastic show for y'all tonight, and it's just an improv off the dome. We didn't even talk about what exactly we're going to discuss. We just said, let's talk about this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and then we're going to just go from there. Germ So True, talk to the people while I set up this link on the Facebook.
Man, y'all know, True Man False World reporting live. Scene representative. He's just here. Soldier. He makes it clap. Clap, clap. Whatever. TikTok. Let's go.
Vic Jr.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm looking forward to this season coming up because there's just so many storylines that I'm excited about. It's crazy. I just feel like this happens every year, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to this football season even more for some reason. I know some of the reasons, but and I'm not trying to rush my summer, fellas. It's supposed to be an epic summer for me, God willing. So I'm not trying to rush my summer, but I am looking forward to some damn football. So let's talk about it.
I hear you. You know, the thing is, though, Vic, as an adult, like as humans, we're just so programmed to look. I saw this on the internet streets the other day. We're just so programmed to look forward to summer, but really, when you're an adult, it's just like, come on, let's just get through the summer. You know, me and summer is so. Now I will say this. I will say this.
Mhm.
Let me say this. When I'm living and where I'm living at now, yes, I love the summer.
Mm-hmm,
But when I'm where Virgin Islands or Dade County, Broward County,
it's
it
all year
don't
long.
matter. Exactly.
No. I mean, the thing is, it's easy for a 29-year-old like you to say, though. You know what I'm saying?
No
I'm
doubt
going to
about
be
it.
36. I'm going to be 36. I ain't rushing my days anymore, man.
First
I'm
of all,
trying
wait
to
a minute.
take day by day. You know what I'm saying? So
First of all, expect a male with a fine for revealing my age on a live TV programming
oh, my
station.
bad. My bad.
It's all
This
good
guy,
though. It's all
he's
good.
supposed to be the old G, and he's like the youngest G in
What?
the whole program and the whole family.
Don't matter. It don't matter. Don't worry about that.
I feel a lot of hate.
You know what? It's all good. It's all good.
A
I
lot
don't
of
want
hatred. A lot of hatred.
pressure only creates diamonds, baby. That's all.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Mighty Murphy
I
style.
want to kind of let people settle in before we discuss the title of the video, Jags sign Taysom Tebow. We're going to get to that in 1 second. Let's start with today's date. Today's date is May 27th. June 1st is basically the next step of the NFL offseason. That's 4 days from now. On June 1st, a lot of the speculation, a lot of those rumors that we heard
In one
towards
second.
the end of the season,
Let's start.
early in the offseason, a lot of those things are going to start swirling back up now. And the biggest of all is the Julio Jones situation. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers thing has been looming large over the NFL offseason, no matter what time, not matter what phase of this offseason it is. But right now is when the Julio Jones thing takes center stage. From everything we're hearing, fellas, it's a done deal. The Falcons are moving on from Julio Jones. What I'm getting upset with is there are people, and these are people in mainstream, people that you got to subscribe to or have some sort of paid subscription to listen to, that are saying that yes, it is worth trading for Julio Jones. And if you do trade for Julio Jones, that automatically ascends your team to Super Bowl contender. Hold your horses. Slow down there, because that is not true whatsoever. If you add Julio Jones to your team, no matter where you are as a roster, yeah, he's going to contribute to your football team. he's Julio Jones. But Vic, I'm not so sure. I don't know how we've gotten to the point where trading for a 30 plus year old wide receiver with lower body problems warrants a first round pick and a Super Bowl title contender label. And as me and Jerm were talking about briefly, if you're Atlanta, it's overdue, but right on time. If you're a team trading for him, it's about a year or two too late. That's my thoughts on it. Let's open it up to the fellas.
No, I mean it's a fair assessment. Like I said, I mentioned a few teams in there that I think he would obviously elevate, but how much is that really worth? You know what I mean? Like again, probably the best receiver of the last 8 years, maybe, in Julio Jones, debatably. But what team is it going to be worth it for, right? So now you look at it as teams that are in the back end of the draft or projected to be in the back end of the draft. Is he more valuable than what you can get for a rookie next year if you're going to draft either position, right? So if it's the Packers, obviously Julio Jones would be valuable right now, very much so. Is it the Patriots? Probably so as well. So depending on the team, depending on the situation, depending on the quarterback is key. Because other than that, like you said, it's. I mean, we're talking about a guy that now is going to have to play 17 games. Let's not forget that has been implemented now for this season.
Yes.
17 games with some foot and toe injuries. You gotta be able to determine what the value is going to be. Is he going to even end the season for you on a playoff scenario?
And before I toss it to you, Jerm, Vic, we always try to get your expertise on the human anatomy side of these athletes. I mean, just talk about it briefly. A big body, a long frame, lower body injuries. That's not easy to start recovering from the older you get.
Right. And I mean, because Julio is not necessarily considered an elite speed receiver, he relies a lot on his physical ability, but not only that, he's one of the best route runners.
Right.
All right, that has a lot to do with his Alabama, history from being from Alabama, stuff like that, and how he's perfected the great route running he has, and that impacts his toes, that impacts his ankles. All the turning that he's able to do. Because I mean, again, you watch that dude break down some routes. It is something beautiful to watch. How big that dude is and running routes at the sharp, how sharp he can do it. So, it's going to be one of those situations. What team is he going to go to? Can the quarterback get him the football in a good spot where it's not going to get him hurt? How is he going to be used? Are you going to use him outside the numbers a lot, where he's going to rely on more route running, or can you use him more inside the hash marks, where he can kind of use his frame more than just simply routes? It's going to be a lot of things that these GMs and coaches have to factor for this move.
Yeah, and just great just to highlight what you said about those toes, those ankles. What made him a great route runner, what makes any great route runner, is the lack of wasted motion. No wasted motion, no extra steps. And what made him so good for somebody that long to be able to just plant his foot and cut with sharpness, with explosiveness, with quickness, with that quick twitch suddenness that we always refer to. Jerm, let's get you to jump in here. We know how explosive Julio used to be. We just talked about it briefly. You and I always reference the 2016 podcast we did with Myron Jenkins and Jay Ham ahead of conference championship weekend. To refresh everybody's memory, that weekend you had the Packers versus the Falcons, and then you had the Steelers versus the Patriots. That was the only time where the big three, Le'Veon, Ben, and AB were there. Matt Ryan, 2016 season, yada, yada, yada. We always reference that podcast because that was one of the most football-filled podcasts ever made in the history of life. And one of the things we talked about is that was prime Julio and how his abilities were able to transcend that offense. But as you and I were talking about it, it might be a year too late. Your thoughts?
Here's the thing. here's the thing with Julio. Julio is who he is at this stage. Historically, he's probably going to retire as one of the maybe 5, 6 greatest to ever play the position.
Nobody's gonna argue.
You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, that's fine. The problem is it's the position that he plays. The position that you play does not transition to wins. And that's what the ultimate thing comes down to here. You know, a lot of people, what a lot of people don't understand in this situation is that Julio is always going to probably be, as long as he stays in the shape that he's in, he's always going to be a top 5 receiver when he gets off the bus. It just is what it is.
Sure.
But the issue for the Falcons is, are you getting rid of him? Are you getting rid of Julio Jones now and saying you want to receive something for him? Or are you getting rid of him for the right reasons? That's the first thing. Because to receive something for him, you may have to drop your expectation a little bit. You may have to take a 2nd or 3rd round pick for him.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, a 1st round pick may not be what a team wants to give up for, as we said, a over the hill receiver who is probably going to start to bring coming down. That doesn't mean that he won't be good or productive. That just means that his best days probably are behind him, right? So
yeah.
Part of the evaluation is looking forward, projecting what
100%.
he's going to be.
100%.
So I look at it like this: if Trent Williams was worth a bunch of lower round picks and he wasn't worth a 1st or a 2nd round pick, and he's a left tackle for the 49ers last year or the year before, Julio should be worth around the same value, if not less.
Bro,
we're talking about the difference of a left tackle who is probably still one of the 2 best left tackles in football, opposed to a receiver that we know that whether he goes and plays with Aaron Rodgers or not, it's still going to be excuses when they don't win the whole thing. Still going to be another thing. Like, unless he's going to play with certain players that probably, if he's going to play with Deshaun Watson in Miami, that's significant. Mm-hmm. If he's going to play with Deshaun Watson in Miami, that's significant. Because that organization is significant.
Right.
If they get that dynamic of a duo.
Sure.
To go along with what they already have.
100%. 100%. Couldn't agree with you.
But going to Green Bay in a cold weather city with lower body issues, and you're asking this dude to be able to play in Lambeau in the snow when his toes are going to be frozen from the frozen tundra, not to mention he's already had lower extremity injuries, and that's probably going to be arthritis season for him. Playing in the dome, believe it or not, covers a lot of things, bro.
Man, that's a great point.
I'm just, I root for the dude because I love Julio.
Right.
But Don Julio will always be one of those guys. But if you're going to send him somewhere, you got to send him somewhere that's the right fit. And I think Miami, South Beach, beautiful. You just got to pair him with the right quarterback. And I think, I think Willie Beeman is the perfect guy for him.
Right. And let's just make sure we are always going to remain consistent to our views. He's phenomenal. Maybe he doesn't have the February resume as Michael Irvin, as Jerry Rice, as Julian Edelman, right? But the reality is he is still, like you said, Germ, let's just say top 8, top 10 wide receivers of all time ever. Because that position doesn't necessarily translate to wins and losses, and it most definitely does not translate to Super Bowls. It wins maybe, losses maybe throughout the 17-game regular season, sure, on a Sunday in October. But to actually make it to February, very little value. So it just because he doesn't have that Lombardi does not mean that he's not one of the all-time greats. Because I'll tell you what, if Jake Matthews didn't get that flag, if Matt Ryan made that completion on the subsequent play, all we would have been talking about is one of the most incredible catches ever made by any human being ever to get him in field goal range to ice that game in the Super Bowl that year. We're going to leave it at that, unless there's anything the fellas want to add.
All I'll say is I just want everybody to understand, as good as Julio is, it's hard to just take a receiver and place him on a team and say that that's the recipe for success.
That's the
If
Super Bowl
it
team.
didn't happen for a certain quarterback and they got Randy Moss, a lot has to go right in the season. That's all I'm gonna say. Just to get to the Super Bowl. So let alone you saying that this guy is this and this and that. Stop.
But that's why bringing Trent Williams in, that was genius in the conversation, is because at the end of the day, you still have to block, you still have to protect. The quarterback still has to make some accurate, damn good throws and decisions. Okay, for him to do what he has to do. So I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. Trent Williams went to San Fran and exceeded expectations above expectations. Like, I mean, I didn't expect him to play that the way he did, and that was during a season where they struggled as a football team overall. He was probably the best player on the field. So
every Sunday,
every single Sunday, it was
Sunday.
unbelievable.
Yeah, he was incredible.
Right. So I mean, hopefully this year he can come back and do the same thing for those guys, and show people that that position is too important. Yeah. The beef up front is way more important than spending a first or second round pick on a receiver.
I mean, again, like, take it from me. When I was in my younger days, when I was financially illiterate, I spent a lot of money on my car. And I'll tell you this, there was a day where it was clean, it looked pretty, brand new tires, chrome rims, everything shining, car, all the speakers hooked up, but the car wouldn't start. So what's the point? No beef, no Lombardi. Same concept, baby. Let's get to the comments real quick.
Les got some slander for you there.
First of all, Les, you were doing good with the first two comments. That third one is unnecessary. And I hope you didn't use any of that data plan to make that last comment. Shout out to everybody in the comments. KG is the leadoff hitter tonight. Jay Ham in there, Les in there. As we said, he said Vic got 30. Never forget. Leon, we are praying for you, Leon. We are always happy to see you in the comments, my brother. It is always it brings me joy anytime I read your name and I read your comments. We fighting with you. We praying for you. We love you. Josh Storm's in there, category 5. And then this is where the comments goes off.
I mean, let me just say this until us. I'm not even talking bad about Tua. I'm just saying, I mean, in the words of Big Shot, Reggie Bullock or Shannon Brown, Deshaun Watson or Tua Tagovailoa.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. Give me Willie Beeman every Sunday. My name is Willie Beeman. I love the ladies.
But you skipped over the comment after that when we could pull up the film where Randy should have made that catch in that Super Bowl. You remember that?
I'm not about to look.
I got this. I got this.
Yeah, and that's a catch he routinely makes, but we'll talk about that another day.
We'll talk about that later. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to the reason why not we all are here, but let's move on to the reason for the title of the video, fellas. And while people are, starting to get their vaccines and everything, I'm putting my mask on because I need to social distance from the bullshit that I'm hearing on these social media streets. All right. I don't want to get infected with whatever the fuck is going around. Excuse my French. We got one cuss word per show.
I don't have one.
We actually don't. I'm not in the mood. I don't want to get whatever virus is infiltrating the minds of the sports media, but more importantly, infiltrating the minds of the football coaches. Low-key, I look like Bane right now. You think darkness is your ally? Well, I'm going to tell you this. The Jacksonville Jaguars are about to be in the darkness for a long time. If any of the things that we are hearing come to fruition, let me take this off to make sure people understand what I'm about to say here. There are rumors and speculations on these streets that Tim Tebow wasn't necessarily signed to be a tight end. And this is not social media. This is not the media. This is speculation and belief amongst coaches around the professional football league that we call the NFL. Excuse me. Apparently, the belief is, number one, if Trevor Lawrence number one overall draft pick, going to a miserable franchise. If he starts to struggle, there is some of the belief that Tim Tebow will take over, although be it for a temporary period in time, as the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Furthermore, there is more speculation that Tim Tebow is being signed to be Taysom Tebow, as in Taysom Hill, as in the BS cartoon football, comic football, as my man Jay Ham says it, comic book football that the New Orleans Saints were running with Taysom Hill and Drew Brees, where Tim Tebow will have his own packages, their own set of plays, and all these things going on. I'm not frozen, fellas. My Wi-Fi signal is on point tonight. I don't know what to say about this. All I'm gonna say is before we open it up, because I know that fellas dying to unleash on this. Unleash! Isn't that what Skip Bayless be saying? Listen, when they signed Tim Tebow, it felt like a huge Duval County sentimental party. You know what I'm saying? They signed Urban Meyer, they signed Tim Tebow. Like Ronnie said, like Germ said, we're going to the Rose Bowl, Duval County. It just seems like Jacksonville is caught up in this sentimental energy. And sentimental don't win you football games, Chief. Because we know Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, look, in Duval County, it is NASCAR and college football. It is NASCAR and the University of Florida Gators. That's it. They skip church to go to these events.
Go ahead, Jerry, first.
All right, go ahead, Jerry.
So let me just come out, man, and just say this, man. Let me just put this out there to perspective. This whole thing with the Tebow thing is just annoying. I'm tired of it from every angle. I'm tired of it from the football angle, from the social angle, from the whole entire angle. The only reason why this man got a job is because Urban Meyer is not a football coach at the professional level. This is a college experiment that could possibly turn into NFL, meaning not for long for Urban Meyer. It already looks terrible. Trevor Lawrence, I feel bad for him in certain aspects because we don't know if he's even going to get the full ability to play the position for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now with Tebow as an addition to the football team. But to always also combat that and add to the burden, you went to a historically bad organization. Like there's no winning that's went down in this organization.
Ever.
So what we have to understand again is we have to understand that we're in a situation 110% that this organization probably is not going to get better. The head coach is probably going to be fired within the first year to 3 years. And the personnel is subject to be changing again because who's going to want to stay there and play? So Tebow is not even, he's the last of my worries. My worries is the other grown men that are in that locker room that are getting ready to go out here on Sunday after Sunday and play like they're about to play on Saturday.
Listen.
This is some of the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. We're about to play Saturday football on Sunday?
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You could keep trying it. They could keep doing it. It's not going to happen. Again, Lamar Jackson ain't won nothing yet. Tim Tebow ain't won nothing yet. Not Russell Wilson. All these quarterbacks who are strictly high-level college quarterbacks. And I know I said we wasn't going to mention that name, Jerm. So I'm gonna put my fine in. Don't worry. But Saturday don't transition to Sunday. You could take certain things and you could try to adapt them and evolve them. like the RPO, for example. But even we see the RPO now, the RPO is gonna be out of the league, or at least down. Each year goes that they're gonna see less and less RPOs.
That was
Believe you
short
me.
lived. It was short lived.
Dog, hey, in the words of Mike Tomlin, flavor of the month. That's all it was, flavor of the month.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And with the Taysom Hill thing, Vic, look, when the Taysom Hill thing first got going, and this is not to toot our own horn, as they say, but we started talking about it before people were really noticing it. This Taysom Hill guy, and it was cool, and it was fun, and it was effective when it was used as a gimmick thing, one or two plays a game. But when they started implementing it more and more, and it became a staple, and oh my God, it is starting to become part of the identity of this offense led by a Hall of Fame quarterback. There was no way in hell we were going to root for the Saints to win anything meaningful, because that shit was disrespectful to the game. That was disrespectful to grown man football. When you start pulling off Hall of Fame quarterbacks to bring in these gimmicky stuff. You taking off Drew Brees in 3rd and 4 from the 6, and you taking out Drew Brees? What? And now comes Urban Meyer, a person who's never coached in the NFL, and he's going to try to start doing all these things and making all these ingredients. Nah, start with the basics and build it from there. Why even do all this? Vic, your thoughts?
I mean, bro, this is why at the end of the day, we preach film, we preach fundamentals, and we try to emphasize it 100 times, 200 times, 1,000 times if we have to. Some of these coaches, man, like, I don't care. They're getting paid to do this, and they make some of the worst decisions. Okay? You know, whether it's Sean Payton, Urban Meyer. I mean, some of these decisions are incredibly, the Ravens contingency. Okay, shout out to those guys. Let's see how long that lasts. Because again, like the fundamentals, man, it just seems to escape a lot with some of these coaches, and it's incredible because they're getting paid and they should know better. You know, with the Trevor Lawrence situation going to Jacksonville, man. Listen, we don't want to, we don't want players to fail. But man, if Tim Tebow ends up having to play quarterback mode, because again, you brought this up, and I didn't even think of that as a possibility for Tim Tebow to be like what they're doing with Taysom Hill. If it gets to a situation where he has to get snaps at quarterback because Trevor is ineffective, man, I'm gonna have a field day. And that's one of the storylines that I was talking about earlier in the introduction. I mean, listen, again, I don't want these guys to fail, but if Trevor Lawrence, who is being pushed by the media, but for being this next great thing and people falling for it, if he ends up failing, I'm going to have a field day. I'm going to be a troll. And then if Zach Wilson goes to New York, the Jets, and turns that franchise around, kind of like what Baker did for the Browns, I'm going to have too much fun with y'all, man. I really, because listen, some of these fundamentals should not be missing in some of these coaches and some of these people, but see what happens, right? They got to play the game at the end of the day.
Shout out to everybody in the comments. Trav has just joined us, saying the boys are back. Hey, Trav, we always been here, baby. It's an old theory. Sometimes you just gotta let them miss you. That's all it was. We here. We always been around. We ain't going nowhere. Josh Storm saying their best year was year 2. Tim Tebow's gonna play quarterback. Shaking my head. Leon Williams. Josh Storm. Shout out to Mark Brunell. Trav, the wasting DJ Chark. Unfortunately, Trav, you look at it. There is a junkyard full of wasted. There is a graveyard of wasted receivers throughout NFL history. A graveyard, believe me. This ain't nothing new. No offense to TJ, but he ain't special in this situation. Unfortunately, Megatron is in that graveyard. That's just the truth.
Real quick that you bring that up, Mo. Julio Jones. When people say, the media and I don't want to call the average fan. It seems to be a disrespectful term, apparently. But when they say, "Oh, Julio doesn't score much touchdowns," No, that's when you need to watch the film.
Yeah.
Because we see that man open in the
Mhm.
red zone and that Matt Ryan guy missing him a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we talk about Julio could be a top 5, top 10 Hall of Famer at his position, like we talking about he wasn't even used to his max potential.
Yeah. And I mean, again, with the Julio Jones thing, Atlanta, we talked about this earlier. Atlanta never evolved. Atlanta, for the last 5 years, have been trying to replicate what they did in 2016. Steve Sarkisian, and I don't know much about the guy because you don't know I don't watch college football like that. I just know they brought in an offensive coordinator, and they said, "Here, man, you got to cook this dude's recipes. I know you got your own book. Don't worry about that. We want you to cook with this guy's ingredients. We want you to cook his recipes." It don't work that way. You bringing in somebody, guess what? You are not hiring him. You are hiring his philosophy. You are hiring his scheme. You are hiring his play calls. And Atlanta didn't do that with Steve Sarkisian. And that's why Julio, for the last 3-4 years, yes, injuries has certainly been a major factor to the decrease in production. So has the drafting of Calvin Ridley. No doubt about it. But it doesn't mean that he can't produce anymore, and it doesn't mean that he won't add value. Let's make that perfectly clear. I'm not giving up a first-round pick for him, but I'll give up something to have him on my football team. No doubt about it. Dennis King is in there. What's going on, Dennis? Jay Ham saying we got to have a convo about the Khan family. True to that. Leon saying that they are digging their own grave. And then Josh Storm saying that if this happens, basically, it's going to be 10 times worse than the Saquon Barkley thing. So
Yeah.
a lot there. Let's kind of pick up the pace a little bit. We don't want to make this show too long. Let's go a little rapid fire style here, fellas. Aaron Rodgers recently, we know the story with him. We know what's going on. He wants out. First day of OTAs, none of the starting wide receivers showed up to camp. And I'm going to say this. It could be a big deal. It could not be a big deal. I don't want to sit here week after week and react to every little thing that happens with the Green Bay Packers and the Telemundo drama that is Aaron Rodgers. But I will read you this quote earlier this week from Aaron Rodgers. With my situation, look, it's never been about the draft picking Jordan. I love Jordan. He's a great kid. We've had a lot of fun to work together. Love the coaching staff, love my teammates, love the fan base in Green Bay. An incredible 16 years. It's just kind of about a philosophy and maybe forgetting that it is about the people that make the thing go. It's about the character. It's about the culture. It's about doing things the right way. So he is taking a clear shot at the front office. From the insiders, from the Twitter streets, and the things that I've been reading and hearing and seeing, from what I understand, from what I've heard, read, and said, and saw, the ownership, which is what's his name? Whatever his name is, Ted something. Apparently, he's not going to budge. He is not going to budge to Aaron Rodgers' demands of firing the GM. Now the question is Aaron Rodgers going to budge? So there's some drama starting to build up here. At the end of the day, fellas, agree or disagree with me, Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing quarterback for the Green Bay Packers this season.
I agree to that. I don't see them moving him. I don't see them moving. And again, I want, like, if they could make the Julio Jones move, which I doubt they do it, if they could do that, I want to see it happen. Because, I mean, every excuse in the book for this guy is that he doesn't have an elite receiver or another elite receiver alongside Devontae Adams. Now, don't get me wrong, that quote was phenomenal. Okay, but where's the accountability from his side?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know. And there's never been any accountability from his side. But I'll let you go.
I don't have any dog in this fight. I don't care if he plays for the Packers. I don't care if he plays for the Broncos. I don't care who he plays for. I just know it's going to be a bunch of excuses when they don't win. So at this stage, just whatever we're going to do, just do it. Can we just get it over with? Like I'm at that stage now with all of the excuses being said. A lot of excuses are starting to be given to players for things that people say other people can't control. I'm not about to penalize the Green Bay Packers organization as much as some people will, because as we just said, receivers don't transition to wins. But Aaron Rodgers has had ample running backs that were able. He's had ample tight ends that were able. He's had weapons. We're not just talking about a situation where dude doesn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about having ample weapons. Jermichael Finley was a first-round pick, and he was supposed to be the big red zone target for Aaron Rodgers that was supposed to be able to put the Packers over the top. When the Packers won their Super Bowl, they were running the football at one of the best clips in the league. They were playing defense opportunistically, and Aaron Rodgers was playing pretty much the best football he had played at that time. That is just how it happened. The next year they come out and go 15-1, and then they lose. Not only did they lose, but they lost in a fashion of they couldn't score enough points. So you're telling me that the team is not good enough, or you're telling me that he doesn't have the talent? But this year they win 13 games. The year before they win 13 games. And then we come back after they win 13 games and say, well, they don't have enough talent. So how do you win 13 games if you don't have talent?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I mean, unless you're Tom Brady, anyways. They've always had talent. The Green Bay Packers have always had talent. And I just think for Aaron, I mean, he's always been a little bit dramatic, and I think this is just him being uber dramatic, and I think it's all going to get resolved in the end. Little side nugget here, according to a recent poll, I think it was like 60% or 70% or even 80%. It was some majority of Green Bay Packers fans are actually on the Packers side of this and not the Aaron Rodgers side of this. And really, how can you blame him? This is just Aaron. Once again, I mean, this dude talked about how they've been on a run. He compared this whole situation to Jerry Krause and Michael Jordan. Dude, I don't know what reality stone you picked up, but it is defected, sir.
Yo.
Okay? It is no run.
God,
this
bro.
ain't the Bulls. You are just another team who has over and under achieved in all seasons ever since 2010. Somehow, some way. Anyways, let's move on real quick. Let's keep it going. We got a couple more things we want to talk about, a couple more questions, rapid fire style. Fellas, the Deshaun Watson thing, once again, starting to take center stage. Once again, we found out this week, Germ, that this thing is probably not going to get resolved until 2022. Good year, good number. So my question is, fellas, does Deshaun Watson play for the Houston Texans this year?
No, I'm not playing for y'all. I'm not walking in y'all locker room. I'm not doing anything for this organization. You can find me. You can do whatever you're going to do. You can take half of my salary. You can do whatever it is that you got to do. But after all of this, there is no coming back. You have, excuse me, I'm saying it. You fucked up royally, financially, literally, figuratively, every single way. You dropped the ball. I don't like you. You don't like me. It is made evident. Let's get away. Run away, love. Run away, love. It's that time. Goodbye.
I hear you. Vic?
I mean, I don't have nothing to say after that, bro. I mean, it is what it is. I was looking forward because I was projecting this kid to show how great he is. Obviously before all this other mess started. I just, you guys know how I feel about his game. So it's going to suck to see that he might have to take the year off because it is what it is. It's a mess.
I think here's the thing. I know everybody comes here and watches us and the comments and everything because they want to hear us give strong opinions. Sometimes you just got to look at things right down the middle, right? And this, to me, this is one of those situations. That's just my honest opinion on it. On the one hand, you don't want to get in a situation or in a habit rather where you're constantly looking to blame the victim. You don't want to get in that habit because we certainly don't want to we don't want to say that all 22 of these women are liars. But in the same token, whether it's 22 women or one man, and I'm not even saying one woman, man, whether it's 22 people or one person, you don't want to just go and get in this habit of accusing somebody's character of certain defamation, right? And that's what's going on here. Look, we are all adults who are watching this video. I'm assuming we all know what goes on in some of these massage parlors. Let me tell you something. You drive down Federal Highway or Dixie Highway in Florida, you could just go straight down the line and you see a bunch of massage parlors with curtains all over the front door. Okay, they don't have those curtains to keep the suns out. You think of what you want. Okay, we know what goes on in some of these massage parlors. So I don't think there's any question that there was an instance or two where some of these things may have taken place, and maybe there was an instance or two where it was like, nah, Deshaun, this ain't that kind of party, right? Very possible. Very, very possible. What I think is the main football point to take from this is that we are at the Trent Williams stage with Deshaun Watson. We're not at the Aaron Rodgers stage where I'm just going to be a baby about it and I'm just going to throw a fit. No, we're at the Trent Williams stage, whereas I truly do not trust the core of your organization. I have no faith that you, the person I have a contract with, has the best interest for my life. And once we've reached that stage is when you get to a serious point. Like, for the most part, I'm going to call a bluff on any player looking to sit out. This is not one of those situations where I'm going to call Deshaun Watson's bluff. Because like Germ said, he truly feels there is some malicious intent being thrown his way, and it is being driven by the very team that he plays for. If that ever comes out true, let me tell you something, man. Dan being a quarterback, he might sue him so hard he'll end up being the owner of this damn franchise. It is very serious what's going on in Houston. I don't want to downplay it. I'm not picking sides as far as the legal matter is concerned, because, hey, I got a brother who's a lawyer, baby. Sometimes you just got to let things play out. But from the football side, if I'm Deshaun Watson, Houston, you got a problem. I don't want to be on your football team.
Bro, and that whole franchise would need a complete makeover. I don't want to talk about I don't want to take it to the point where like all of a sudden we're deleting them from the league and starting a franchise over.
Right.
But like who's gonna want to go over there and play for that football team? Like who's gonna say I want to be a Houston Texan?
Right. And remember, this is the same team that said you can't let the inmates run the asylum with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. So look here, man. y'all, in the words of Jay Ham, there's a lot of Confederate energy coming out of the Houston Texans franchise.
Sorry, Houston. Sorry.
Because Houston is such a rich culture. The city of Houston is one of the most beautiful, richest cultures that we have in this country because of the diversity, because of there is just such an infiltration of different cultures and diversities in that city. You will see huge parks, huge events, huge entertainment centers that are throwing different cultural events, not multicultural events. One is Hispanic, Middle Eastern, Irish, German, Chinese, Mexican, you name it. And it is a shame that this football team has this sort of representation and this sort of just bad juju around it. It's not good for business. It's truly not good for business. Even Jerry Jones isn't spewing this type of energy from him, from his. And this is the truth. As much as Jerry gets flack for it, Vic, as much as people think Jerry is this, I hate to say it, plantation owner, he's not putting out the energy that the McNair family is. We got to be fair on that. He's just not.
He's just a bigger face, so it looks like he is.
Y'all see my shirt. My shirt says, you know what?
We cussed enough tonight, Jeremy, and you. Let's
let him read it. Is this, and we're just gonna break it down, and we're gonna get right to the nitty gritty. The game all together is about pimps and hoes. At the end of the day, the players, as much as people don't want to say it, we know where the players are and we know what the owners are. The owner's job is to make the players the most happy, as possible. And in this situation with Deshaun Watson, they have not done that. They have given him nothing but issues when it came down to him doing and performing his job at the highest level. He has done what he was supposed to do as a number one draft pick. He came in and he turned the outlook of this organization around.
Right.
He did those things.
Right.
He did the work.
Right.
What I want people to understand is now it's up to the GMs to do their job.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna talk about this objectively and fairly. Deshaun Watson has done everything he can for the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have not done everything they can for Deshaun Watson. Yeah. And that's the number one issue in this entire process.
Right.
Bill O'Brien screwed him. He rear-ended him when he traded DeAndre Hopkins for a second-round pick. He railroaded this man over and over and over again, and now you expect him to come back to your franchise. And then after that, it's being said in the media and all of these different suspicious relationships that you have with the attorney of the actual prosecuting attorney of the case. All of this is not looking good, to mention that you have a 3 to 4 year history of completely railroading this guy.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
In my opinion, in my humble opinion, F sports for a second. If you don't take care of your girls or your players in this situation, you should not have any. Number one, you shouldn't be an owner of a team. Number two, and number three, you need to take that mentality that you have, turn that son of a bitch sideways, and shove it right up your candy ass.
If you smell what truth is cooking.
I'm at the stage now. We gotta just be honest with this. Yeah. Because this is disgusting, y'all. This is disgusting. And Mo, I love what you said when you said we're not gonna say what happened or what didn't.
Right.
But you know what Deshaun came and said? Yo, my integrity is in question here, so I'm willing to fight for it.
Hell
and
yeah.
I had sex with this one, this one, this one. Me and her didn't happen. This over here didn't happen.
Right.
He came out and he's telling you what he did.
And I love that. I love that.
Right there is what you want from a franchise leader.
Yeah.
Somebody who's going to take accountability.
Right.
Guess what? The Houston Texans have yet to take any.
Right.
So we already know who's who in this scenario.
Did you just say accountability?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Good evening. Good night, America.
Hey, listen. We ain't Judge Robert Kraft for getting a hand job. Why we just in Deshaun Watson?
Or Jerry Jones.
Happy ending.
Or Jerry Jones. Let's not forget Jerry Jones. It's easy to forget Jerry Jones, what he does in those Dallas streets.
Bro, first of all, listen, Vic, if I was a billionaire widow, man, hey.
Yeah, understandable.
Listen, I'm gonna have my football roster and my off the football field roster. It's just
what he should do is leave the football roster alone and then do his off-field, take care of his off-field rosters.
Hey,
leave those guys alone.
And again, fellas, this transitions into one other thing that I'm gonna say before we wrap up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Owners. Hey, owners, you look good when you back that thing up. You's a fine mother when you back that thing up. Let the players win again, back that thing up. You know who they playing with, back that thing up. Get out of the way. Yeah. The players win them. The coaches lose them. This is in every sport. If you got the players, let the players do their job. It's that simple. We don't got to be crazy. We don't got to do anything extra. Hey, Cash Money Records taking over for the 99 and the 00. Back that thing up. Get out the way. Ludacris said, but move it. Get out the way.
Yep.
Stop. Get out these players' way. Let them perform. The first thing you're gonna do is ship them out of town and disrespect them. So let them do their job. Let them do their job.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I couldn't agree with you more.
Tampa Bay, I don't want to keep bringing this up. Tampa Bay brought in players and they got the hell out the way.
Yeah. Yep. They said, hey, y'all figure out how you could play best together. We're gonna be here.
So what did you hear about that story from OTAs over there? Apparently Brady went to show up for OTAs and they told him to go home.
Yeah.
Bruce Arians said go home.
Yeah.
I mean, but then you got the Packers over there and they don't know if they want to show up. And come on, man.
Hey, look. At the end of the day, winners win and losers lose. That's the first thing that we need to make sure we understand.
Simple as that. Yep.
If you want this in life, this thing we call life, if you want it, you know you're going to fail sometimes. But the failure that you get is a lesson. It's not a failure at the end of the day because you build off of it.
Right.
This is a situation right here. After Tampa Bay in this past season, there are no excuses. I don't want to hear no excuses. It's called figure it out on the field, bro.
You know what that means, right? That Tom Brady and the rest of that starting roster, they're progress stoppers right now. Like, they're literally progress stoppers. Like, if they showed up to minicamp, if they showed up to OTAs, they are stopping the progression of the younger players right now. There is nobody on that starting roster that needs to show up for mini camps right now. Nobody.
Hey, Vic, you know what that means? What that means? We won a championship.
Yo.
No time for losers.
Yo. And I think that's such a Bruce. We know how Bruce is. Bruce is not gonna kill his guys. Bruce has always been that. He has always had those rules. He doesn't want to see lights on in the offices after a certain time. He doesn't want to have his guys come in on holidays. He doesn't want his coaches missing dance recitals. That's who Bruce Arians is. And hey, call it what you want. If Bill Belichick got crowned a genius for having Tom Brady do all his dirty work for him, then damn it, we're gonna call Bruce Arians a genius too.
Hey, let me just make sure y'all understand, man.
Bars.
Bruce Arians deserves respect. He deserves credit. But the most important thing that Bruce Arians deserves, y'all, is he deserves his place in history with this organization and just in general with his work he's done in the NFL for all these years. And he finally got the right guy to help him execute and get over the hump. I respect what he's done. I respect what he's about. I respect what that organization stands for. The reason why Tampa won last year was because they did it the right way. At the end of the day, top to bottom, organization to players, number 1 to number 53, they did it right last year. And with that being said, that means figure it out as you go. Week to week, we're going to figure this thing out and do what we have to do. But I'm sick and tired of all of the excuses that are made for all of these other organizations time and time again, because we see so much talent in this NFL that is wasted, that is disrespected because they don't win a Super Bowl. There is no excuse for some of this stuff that has happened in the NFL. And J.J. Watt never winning a Super Bowl is another one. And that's coming from that trash-ass organization that he's been a big part of. You mean to tell me the best you can do is get in Whitney Merciless and Jadeveon Clowney? That's the best you can do? That's the best you can do. You've never had a good secondary.
Terrible.
Never.
Ever. Nope.
I'm through, man. See, look, the Houston Texans organization as a staff, record label, and crew, they deserve a diss track. I'm talking hit 'em up style, no Vaseline, ether, to go along with whatever the hell. Yes, I said it. I'm sick of these folks, man. I'm sick of these folks.
Queensbridge. Look at him. What's wrong with his
Whatever,
face?
Twinkle Toes.
Oh,
Go play
man.
somewhere. I'm
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to everybody in the comment section. Dion Reed just popped in there. He loved the comparison we made with the Trent Williams and the Deshaun Watson situation. To your point, Vic, Dion is asking if there could be some sort of Donald Sterling situation going on with the Texans. Now, listen, it is gonna be really hard to actually find that proof that there was any sort of whatever behind this, but
It's called attorney. It's called
right.
client attorney privilege or whatever the case is, or confidentiality.
Well,
So even with that being said, the attorney can't legally say anything, or he's subject to lose his license with the bar.
right. And I mean, I'm just saying, like, if somehow they can prove that the Texans organization is the ones who like were behind leaking all this information, they knew about it, blah 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 blah. Listen, in the NFL's eyes, if it gets that serious, I don't know who they're gonna side with, but that's too hard to tell. That's too much speculation, and we would have to honestly read about some of the certain bylaws within the NFL and as it relates to their owners. So I can't answer that question, Dion, but I will in a couple weeks. Let me do some research on it. If the NFL can actually force an owner to sell. Remember, the NBA bylaws, the NFL bylaws are totally different.
That's a good point. If they could just move on from that ownership, then all of a sudden that's the makeover right there. That's the makeover right there.
100%, 100%.
That's the. I mean, what and just to make sure we say this before we go. What if the Houston Texans players said we no longer want to play for this organization either, and they said we're not showing up, we forfeit every game? That
Unfortunately,
unfortunately, some cats got to get paid, man.
Unfortunately, that'll never happen. Yeah, that'll never happen. Unfortunately,
I'm saying is,
I hear what you're saying, Germ. It's just take it from me on this one. It's just unless Jimmy Hoffa comes through that door for the NFL Players Union, I don't see nothing like that happening. And Jimmy been missing for a while, so nobody knows where he's at. That's about wraps up the show, fellas. As always, we appreciate everybody in the comments.
Right.
We're gonna try and sort of, get back into the groove of things. A weekly show, maybe twice a week. Start to bring some film towards you. We're gonna get back in this football groove, man. But as always, we always appreciate the support. Make sure you following us on IG, the.scene, scene spelled SCEN, because we set trends, not follow them around these here parts. Make sure you are following us on Twitter, scene_the Facebook community page, the scene, just scene. And then obviously you should by now, if you don't, shame on you. Put something in the swear jar. You should by now be subscribed to our YouTube channel with your notifications on, because you just never know when we're going to pop up. Germ So True, Vic Jr., Mo Schefter, we appreciate y'all tuning in. 94 Feet of Life is going live tomorrow afternoon, I believe, Germ. Is that true?
No, 94 will be Monday.
Okay.
Memorial Day special. Time.
So then listen, you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a long weekend, a long sports weekend. I'm just letting you know now, there's going to be a lot of pop-up lives. So tell your friends, tell your uncles, tell your nephews, tell your mother, tell your neighbor, turn on your notifications, because you don't know when we're going to go live. The Scene, Views from the 22. We out, baby. Take us home, True.
2-2.